Shall we play a game?
Why, yes, I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Not live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. As I said, this is not live this week. This is a pre-recorded show. But other than that, it's the same great show as always. And today we're going to be talking with Aldo Ghiozzi, who is the founder and organizer of the very cool Free RPG Day. And we'll be getting into that interview just here in a moment. First, I have some housekeeping notes to go through. As usual, the show notes and links for today's show, as normal, can be found on shaneplays.com. That's ShanePlays.com. And last week's show with the Society for Creative Anachronism, which was a great show, is also archived on shaneplays.com and on the podcast. This show is broadcast over the air, Geek Talk Radio, but it also goes out as a podcast because I love both mediums. So don't forget, you can catch the podcast version of the show a few days after it broadcast over the air on my blog, on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and many other fine podcast directories. And I'm also working on getting the show up on SoundCloud. I'm currently putting up older shows, and as soon as the complete archive is there, then each week I'll be posting the show to SoundCloud when the podcast goes out as well. And last but never least, don't forget that Shane Plays is also carried on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. KryptonRadio.com.
That's it, cheese. We'll go somewhere where there's cheese.
I've only got one news item for this week, and it's kind of a sad one. CBR.com has reported that Peter Sallis, the voice of Wallace and Gromit's Wallace, has died. And Wallace and Gromit, of course, is the famous series of animated adventures of the inventor Wallace and his dog Gromit, and they're some of my favorite. I love Aardman, and of course, I love Wallace and Gromit. He had a very distinctive voice, and he has died at the age of 96. It's also worth noting that Sallis appeared in the 1967 Doctor Who story, The Ice Warriors, provided the voice for Ratty in the stop-motion animated The Wind in the Willows, and of course he first appeared in Wallace and Gromit with Aardman in 1989, animated sort of short. Some were like 30 minutes, some were shorter than that, went on to become very famous. Also, Sallis was in the very long-running BBC sitcom Last of the Summer Wine that is beloved by many people. So had a nice life. Sounds like 96 is a grand old age. But we will miss him and never hearing his voice again in anything new. But I did want to just have a moment of silence to honor Peter Sallis, voice of Wallace and Gromit's Wallace, among other things. And that moment of silence was for Peter Sallis, the voice of Wallace in Aardman's Wallace and Gromit. And now I've got a great interview for you with Aldo Ghiozzi, the founder and organizer of the yearly Free RPG Day, which just keeps growing and growing in size and fun and all that cool stuff. I think you'll really like this interview. Aldo obviously loves RPGs, has a long history with RPGs, and we get into some of that history and what's going on with Free RPG Day in general, and then also what you can expect from the goodies in the retailer kits this year. So with no further ado,
So we're talking with Aldo Ghiozzi of Free RPG Day. And Free RPG Day is exactly what it sounds like. You can go to your participating friendly local game store on Saturday, June 17th this year. And if they're participating, they will have free RPG products and free RPG swag like dice or cool little pencils or mini figures, whatever it is that happens to be that particular year. And while supplies last, most stores I go to usually let people take free things, but I guess it just depends on the demand. Then you can get cool free RPG stuff. So, Aldo also has a company, an RPG and I think game company, called Impressions. We're going to talk about how he got in the RPG industry, and then we'll get into Free RPG Day, where it came from, how he does it, what the future hopefully is. But first of all, Aldo, welcome to Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And you are out of sunny California, right?
Yes, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area.
All right. And you, first of all, tell me how you personally became a fan of role-playing games, and then tell me how that led into your impression business.
Well, I mean, the answer is like pretty boring. It's like the standard, like all of us, we played D&D when we were a kid. Started with the box set, red box set, and just grew up, kept playing, with our friends as we grew up. So it's the stereotypical story, and just like everybody else, one day, me and some friends that I gamed with said, we can make a game just like these people.
Yeah.
So, so basically, just dabbled in making my own role-playing and miniatures rules.
Okay, all right. So what was your first foray into game design? What kind of game was it?
Well, I did a tiny little prehistoric combat game called Og, and it was like this tiny little $3 polybag game about caveman fighting on a hex grid.
Nice.
And from there, I said, gosh, this would be kind of funny with role-playing with grunts. And so I made Og the role-playing game, and it ended up being that grunting wasn't the best, so we just made the list like 17 words. So we picked 17 words. And that was it. So, and then after that I made a game called Battle Cattle, and Battle Cattle was really like what I would put in quotes, if we could see it on the radio, quotes, my big game.
Your big game. Well, it's gotta, I'm immediately interested by the title, Battle Cattle.
And that's what happened was, it was basically Car Wars with cows. Cows just running around, you would outfit your cow and run around and kill each other, so.
Oh, I heard. This is the infamous when Steve Jackson came after you with his attack lawyers. I'm just joking.
No. Actually, I went to Steve and said, Steve, you have Car Wars the card game. We should do Battle Cattle the card game. And we actually did. And I went to Austin. And
you did? Okay.
Yeah, I went to Austin.
Just joking around.
No, they did a second printing of Car Wars, like a second edition of Car Wars the card game. And at the same time that they redid Car Wars the card game, we did Battle Cattle the card game at the same time. And I went to Austin and designed with Steve and then Phil Reed, who now runs
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was real. And
you're going to hear my keys furiously clicking because I'm looking up Battle Cattle right now.
Yeah, if you type Battle Cattle the card game, then you'll see Steve Jackson.
There's a Battle Cattle 3rd edition from Wingnut Games.
Yeah, 3rd edition was my last game that I had done for Battle Cattle. I did expansions. No,
I thought they were like in medieval armor. They've got like rocket launchers and rockets and.
Actually, we did a medieval expansion called Quest for the Holy Pale. So, nice. I mean, Battle Cattle was created because me and my best friend at the time were watching Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail, and the cow got shot over, in the castle scene. And my buddy looked at me, he goes, we should do Car Wars with cows. And then we just, boom. So that was my little foray. But very quickly I found out that I was better selling games than I was making games. Mm-hmm. I was horrible at layout and art decisions and just all that other stuff.
Yeah, there's more of an you can have a great idea, but to turn a great idea into a rule set, get it put together, get it published, get it distributed is a whole different thing.
Yeah, and that's where I came from. I mean, I was a sales guy, and I had gotten my games in distribution. I had people going, how'd you get your bad game into distributors? Like, it was really like they'd pause and go, how did you get this horrible game line of yours into game stores? And I said, well, I sold them. I gave them a pitch. So Impression started. That's basically how Impression started, was taking over from this company that was going out of business that kind of does what I do. Because Impressions is what's called a consolidator. We're not a distributor. We're not a game company. I mean, it's really weird. We're this middleman company that helps game publishers get their games into distributors. So it's kind of, back end business to business, boring, logistics.
Yeah, on your website describes it as a game distribution service.
Yeah, so we call it a service. Yeah, we call it a service, to help people, instead of them doing it themselves, we just do it for them. And we have a warehouse and all that other good stuff, not in sunny California. I actually just came back from Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is where my warehouse is and my crew are for that side of things.
All right. So now you were telling me right before we started talking officially, quote unquote, on air, that, like you and I both know Steve Chenault from Trollord Games, Chenault and Gray. in all disclosure, Steve's Trollord Games is a sponsor of the show, but his relationship with you is what allowed me to make contact with you to talk about Free RPG Day. But you were telling me that you kind of recap. You were talking about, you're really good friends with Steve.
Yeah. The way it worked was, I ran into him at some minor convention that I was a guest for Wingnut Games in Missouri, and they're in Arkansas, and it was VisionCon up in Missouri. And I was a guest, and we had our booths next to each other, and the show was so slow and had so few people, and both of us were at our booths trying to sell our games and didn't sell practically anything. But we just struck up conversation. We were laughing the whole time. We were the loudest people in the room, and we just had a good time, became friends. But when trouble was happening in distribution, I went to him and I said, dude, Steve, I'm going to start this consolidator distribution service, and it's going to be my game company and my friend Rob, and do you want to do it too? And he's like, yeah, I'm in. So the three game companies were the first Impressions clients, and technically Trollord Games is still a client of Impressions, to this day, and that was 17 years ago. So Steve, honestly, as goofy and giggly as it sounds, he's my best friend in the industry. He's a hoot. We do so much together, and even though I'm California, he's Arkansas. Yeah. Him and his brother Davis and the whole clan of the Trolls are just great. We hang out at Gen Cons and conventions and whatever else. And
no, Steve's good. And he could have a big head running around because his company was, because they were, like some of the last people to work with Gary Gygax. They've been, publishing, but he's not. He's just a totally cool dude. All right. So anyway, so you've got Impressions game distribution services. Which, Impressions is fine. So but you're not exactly a retailer. You're not exactly a publisher. Nope. You just.
Shipping. Yeah, we are categorically neither. Yeah, we're categorically not a publisher, categorically not a retailer, and we're categorically not even a distributor. We're this funky middleman between the publisher and the distributor. There's not many of us who do what we do. We're like a rep. But by consolidating all the shipments and ordering to the distributors contact us for the 80-something companies we work with directly, and we, bill and ship, and have one order for those 80 companies versus the distributors calling them individually. Now, you as a retailer, you have your store, right? Can I say that on the show?
Right.
Is that?
I don't have a store. Yeah.
Oh, you don't have a store.
Right, I don't. But
I'm sorry. I thought you were related to that store. So edit me out.
No,
sorry.
Well, I have Game Goblins is a sponsor, and I'm doing a free RPG Day event at Game Goblins. So pretend I'm a retailer.
Yeah. Okay. Apologies. So
yeah, no problem. Yeah.
So we support retailers in things like demos or free RPG Day or a couple other things, but we don't sell to retailers. Like I said, our focus is on the large volume wholesale side, but we'll support retailers, answer questions, help them with things like that.
Okay. So it's and how long have you been doing Impressions now?
I've been doing Impressions full time since 2000.
Okay. Well, I'm glad it's worked out.
So and then this year is the 11th annual Free RPG Day. So this will be the 11th year for Free RPG Day.
Okay, so I definitely, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and it obviously, parallels Free Comic Book Day. I am not telling anybody who doesn't know anything that I looked at Free Comic Book Day with Joseph Goodman from Goodman Games, who is another close friend of mine. He actually lives here in the San Francisco area, and one time we went out to lunch, 12 years ago, and he's like, I got this list of ideas, and we always talk about his Goodman Games stuff because we handle that for distribution. And he gets down to the list and he goes, we should do Free Adventure Module Day. And I go, God, Joe, that is like the worst long name. I go, well, just call it Free RPG Day and I'll take care of it. And he goes, okay, great, check. And that was it.
That was the old Genesis.
That was it. And they're like, we'll just copy Free Comic Book Day, and do it for role playing. And we thought we were going to do 100 stores. We budgeted for 100, what we call kits, our kits. We budgeted for 100 kits. And we actually did 302 or something. We stretched them.
The very first one.
Yeah, the very first year. We stretched it out.
Let me step back for a second here.
Okay.
This is the 11th.
Yes.
Now June 17th, 2017. This year is Free RPG Day. This year for 2017. Now And like a lot of stores, I'm working with Game Goblins. We're having a big free RPG day. We're building an event around the event, right?
Excellent.
Like most stores, say it's free RPG day, and you go in and they have all the stuff on the table, and you pick out some stuff and you visit for a little while, and then you may leave. And that's usually been my free RPG day experience. But what we're doing at Game Goblins, and I imagine other stores are starting to do, if they're, is we're building from 10 in the morning till midnight. We've got 14 games running to show up.
Awesome.
Jump in a game, and we've got games from all kinds of different systems. So, and there's going to be every year, like Game Goblins usually does like door prizes and giveaways. So we're actually building an event around your event. And I imagine that you're hearing more and more of that. Do you hear that fairly often, or is that kind of?
Yeah, that definitely is the case. And let me back up too. One of the things that you said, you were saying that Game Goblins, people walk in, grab, a few items or whatever, and then they may leave or they may stay. Well, it's kind of funny that one of the biggest complaints are what the retailers have coined to call them the gimme people, like gimme, and then they leave. Right. And that of course is where we had put down a rule that nobody really knows, but retailers use it good and bad, is that a retailer is required when they click and sign up to give away one thing to anybody who asks. And it's one for a family. It's even one if a bum comes off the street. But we give the retailer the option that they could be the one that says, here's your freebie. Because people come in and go, well, I want the Pathfinder thing, I want the Chaosium thing, and they go, gimme that, and you're like, no, you got to stay and play for a premium item or whatever. And then stores also give incentives. Oh, yeah. They give incentives, too, for more, like playing a game, run a game, buy something. Right. But as long as the minimum of get one thing no matter what, that's what we hope happens.
Well, and it's the same model with Free Comic Book Day. Some people are going to walk in, and no matter what, they want their comic book, they're going to walk back out. But what you're hoping is going to happen is to either, A, get somebody into the friendly local game store that hasn't been in a while, right?
Sure.
And it kind of wakens that desire back up. Or get somebody in there who's never been, and then, get a chance to expose them to the hobby, expose them to the store, and that sort of thing. So, that makes total sense to me, is to say, if you want a freebie no matter what, I'll give it to you, but, we're going to have events today. If you want premium items, stick around or whatever.
Correct. Premium items. People say premium items all the time, and they'll pull back those special ones.
Well, I'll tell you what I like to get. I like the dice. I like the, usually Chessex puts a little, a D6 with that year's free RPG. Yep. That's my number one sought after thing from Free RPG Day.
So do you know the irony about that though is that is supposed to be a thank you gift to the store. Actually, but stores are so cool. Yeah, but it's okay. Stores are so cool. They're just like, no, you can have it. That's really cool of them. And stores don't know, but they can call Chessex and buy more. We try to promote all that, but stores are like, oh, I got my 2, I got my 4, or whatever, and that's it. But those are meant to be thank yous. And Q Workshop usually participates most years, and they give away a variety of dice as well.
Well, I like to get the modules. I usually get, because most places that I go, including Game Goblins, they usually let you take 3 items.
That's awesome.
This year may be different because we're promoting the heck out of it, but I usually get the Chessex dice if I can get it, and then I'll get 2 modules. And just for example, I've got the Valiant Universe RPG Quick Start rules from Catalyst. I've got Goodman Games 5th Edition Fantasy module. I've got the Goodman Games DM screen. I've got Hong Kong Task Force 88. The Dark Eye, that was my big one last year. I really wanted that Dark Eye, which is sort of the European D&D kind of.
Now that same company, Ulysses Spiel, is doing Torg. They're the ones that have the redo of Torg.
Up on Kickstarter. Oh my goodness. They wanted $8,000 and they're already over like $100,000.
They really, I think Torg is going to be the diamond in the rough. Last year it was Chaosium when they put out a Cthulhu and they put so few in, everybody's like, oh my God, I want the Cthulhu.
Well, I got that one. I was actually, I got the Derelict, which was written by Sandy Peterson, the original. So the point is, you can get some really. They're not just putting a bunch of junk in the kit. Is my point. You can get some really good stuff.
It took the RPG companies a couple of years to figure out. I had one RPG company that literally I didn't know. I had to put minimums on after like 2 years, like minimum 16 pages, because like one RPG company just sent us a single piece of paper, double-sided, black and white, like it was from a copy machine. I was like, like we didn't know that. So
it's like the point is to excite people about your products, people.
But
the point is, there's some really cool stuff at Free RPG Day. And I would even say that I'm usually, even though I'm a big comic book nerd, I'm usually more excited by the stuff for Free RPG Day than the Free Comic Book Day.
Well, I mean, let me get on my soapbox on that. I don't want to like discount what Free Comic Book Day has done for the comic book industry, because that's awesome. You know, they give away like 4 million comics. We give away like 100,000 RPG related items. Like it's like minuscule compared to Free Comic Book Day. And obviously, you know, revenues for these comic book stores are incredible with the event and all that other stuff. But the one thing role-playing games do that comic books don't really is you're sitting down and playing a game and interacting with people and doing a thing that, you know, is an event thing. And I'm not saying going into a comic book store and talking with people or dressing up and, you know, socializing, you know, is less. But the RPG side is just so much more intense, and that's why hopefully places like Game Goblins and other stores make it an event where it's a day with scheduled events, people running things, and not just, you know, stores just putting the things out and hoping for the best.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing, you know. And I think there's another game store in Hot Springs that's doing an event. That's the city here in Arkansas. I'm guessing. Because there's a huge RPG and tabletop gaming renaissance right now, which that's not news to you. But my guess is that because of that, you know, you're going to see more and more events around Free RPG Day at stores. I mean, if I'm a retailer, if I'm a store owner, it's like, why wouldn't I? You know, let's make a big deal out of it.
Well, that's what we hope, you know. I mean, that's what we hope. Yeah. And that store that's near you, I mean, to my understanding, they're a new store. They called me at the last minute, you know, going, hey, we're trying to do this, and what's the scoop? And they were asking questions. It was really cool because they wanted to know what it was all about, you know, before they spent their money and set things up, and that was great. Because now this is my kibosh to all of your listeners, you know, throwing down to them, that they need to know that the retailers do pay us for this event. I mean, you know, we're using that money to cover collating and shipping and special boxes we buy and all the labor, because we shut down impressions for a week to do Free RPG Day. So the hopes are is that we make a little money, you know, off the event, of course, cover our expenses and just, you know, promote the industry. But consumers need to know that retailers pay us for that box being sent to them and put together for them. So, you know, we hope that you spend at least like, you know, $5 or something on.
Yeah, it's been a little. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's friendly local game stores are a community hub for the hobby, but they're also businesses. You know, so.
Oh, they are just like we are. Just like why we charge them. So.
Right. Yeah. It's all. There's nothing necessarily, you know, bad about charging. You know, it's business. You know, the game store wouldn't be there for the hobby if there wasn't a business behind it.
Well, we hope that the stores take, you know, it's $95 for a kit, you know, and we hope that $95 is seen as an investment where they say, okay, we're going to now do an event and do promotions and do sales and try to inspire people to buy something. You know, maybe we have some stores that take Free RPG Day and they're like, okay, all RPGs are, you know, 10, 15, 20% off today, you know, in celebration, you know, of Free RPG Day. I mean, things like that. So the hopes are is that you play the DCC RPG Quick Start rules and then buy the core book from the store and go, oh my God, I had so much fun. I'm going to buy this book right now from the store.
Right. That is the hope, right? That you convert it immediately into somebody who gets enthusiastic. So there's two goals. One, for the sell side or for the store side, you want them to get a sale, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, there's a business behind it. If the business wasn't there, the hobby wouldn't be there. And then on the player side, you hope that you get somebody new into the hobby or re-excited by the hobby. which helps the hobby as a whole. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's a good spot for a break. We'll be back shortly as we continue to talk with Aldo Ghiozzi, the founder and organizer of Free RPG Day. Back in a moment. Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Troll Lord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or trolllord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or trolllord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays. And we're back with Shane Plays, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. We're talking with Aldo Ghiozzi, the founder and organizer of the yearly Free RPG Day. And remember, this is not a live show, so don't call in or tweet during the radio broadcast. Anyway, back to Aldo.
Now, I wanted to kind of ask you, the first year or two that you did it,
yeah,
was it easier? Was it harder? Well, like how hard was it to put together and get stores to go? Now you're wanting to do what?
Yeah, well, it was pretty easy to get the publishers behind it because we don't charge the publishers. The publishers just had to say, hey, we're going to print something. We're just, they're going to have to print and ship it to us. Of course, there's an expense. But the funny thing about RPGs is that they're probably like one of the smallest like revenue sectors of a game store. So they always get put on the back burner, and everybody goes, oh, I love RPGs so much, but they just don't make me that much money in my store. And that's what Free RPG Day attached to, is these stores going, man, something to possibly help this thing that I love so much. And so we got a lot of support from the stores going, oh my God, something for role-playing games that I love.
Something to pump role-playing games, great.
Exactly, but it wasn't like $1,000. Like Free Comic Book Day could cost a store like $1,000, $2,000 bucks.
Oh, seriously? See, I didn't even know. I knew there was an investment for the store, but I didn't know.
Yeah, Free Comic Book Day, I mean, this, again, stores have told me anywhere from $800 to thousands of dollars in comics, depending on the size of their store and how they do it. But Free RPG Day, we now have gotten to the point, like you were asking me beginning versus now, we will never put the kits above $95. That's just the way it is. Because once you hit 100 in the game industry or role playing, the stores will be like, oh, now it's $100. I don't know. Like, we've kind of found that. But we do have what's called an Uber
kind
kit.
That's the psychological kind of breaking point.
Yeah.
The $100.
Yeah. So we try to leave all our budgeting based off of $95 and the weight of the kits and all that other stuff. But then we have what's called Uber kits. Uber kits are really expensive. They're not really.
That's where they drive themselves.
Yeah, Uber kits. It's kind of funny that Uber. I started Uber kits before Uber was a business.
Uber's definitely stolen that adjective.
Do you know what Uber means in German?
It's super, isn't it?
It's like super or great or the best. And as a joke, because my wife's German, my wife said to me, she goes, "You need to do something that's like, bigger kits." I'm like, "Oh yeah, Uber, right? Like Uber, German referencing." And we eventually thought of it, and I said, as a coined phrase, I called them Uber kits until I was going to think of a proper name, like premium kits. Well, I just kept Uber kits. It's just a bad inside joke, but. Well,
but Uber is like Superman in Germany would be Ubermensch, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that was kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty. After year 1 or 2, it's pretty easy to do free RPG Day since we were kind of a logistics company anyway. So we're just logistically getting, getting companies together. And we have people like Paizo and Trollord and Goodman who support us every single darn year. I mean, those three have been in every year since the beginning.
Which is cool, but let me ask you this, and I'm not looking for dirt. That's not the kind of show that Shane Plays is.
No worries.
But, I mean, has Wizards of the Coast ever participated, or is there any kind of interest there on their behalf?
No. I'm going to tell you the real story between that. If you follow Free RPG Day, Wizards of the Coast started participating. I could pull up my notes if we had time, but it was like year 3. So I convinced them, and they offered something. And then after like 4 years, it's like 4 or 5 years, they said no, and I contacted and I tried to get a hold of somebody. I eventually got a hold of this VP who had known for years that she had a lesser job, I guess. I mean, whatever, and she had been promoted. And I finally got a hold of her. She was part of some group related. I said, "What's the scoop?" And it ended up being that they had just decided that they were, as Wizards of the Coast being a big company, they wanted to control and have all the data. Control not in a bad way, but have all the data, and they had Worldwide D&D Game Day, and that any events or programs that they were going to do, they wanted all the data and all the control.
That's a very big corporate type of approach.
It's a big corporate, and Fantasy Flight did the same thing. Fantasy Flight supported Free RPG Day for 3-4 years, whatever it was. Star Wars was one and stuff like that. And they came back to me and said, "Look, although we're going to do May the 4th and do a special promotion. That's going to be our promotion for that." Back at the time when Star Wars first came out, and they said the same thing to me. "Look, we just want to do it ourselves." So I totally get it, and there's no other evil nuances behind it.
Well, people forget that D&D is owned by Hasbro.
Yeah.
And Hasbro is a huge corporation. And you're right. Like there's you get up, they want control of the channel, they want control of the data, because they've got, that's just their approach. So so that's interesting to hear that. So I didn't even realize or remember that Wizards of the Coast used to be involved. So yeah, and I'm sure that if it ever, you'd welcome them back if they wanted to jump.
Sure. Every year I talk to somebody over there going, "Hey, is there anything we can do? What are your thoughts?" All that other stuff. But then there are companies that, of course, not going to slam or whatever, that just every year they're just like, "I would never give you anything free. That is like the worst idea ever." And so, we know not to ask them now after all these years. So every year I would say probably 60% of Free RPG is the same companies as every year, and the other 40%, are new guys that, come and go or skip a year or whatever.
Well, I think that, if there's any companies listening to this, especially smaller companies, I would definitely consider becoming involved. For example, my awareness of Goodman games has gone up quite a bit because of Free RPG.
Excellent.
Right? That's a perfect example of a smaller company that, because of Free RPG Day, it's reinforced to me that they're out there. They're doing cool. Oh, they're doing 5th edition stuff. Oh, and look at this. So, if you're a small RPG company, I would reconsider if you thought about saying no. But then again, you got your own bottom line to take care of. So
yeah, exactly. And a lot of them go, "Wow, it's going to cost me." The minimum to be a part of Free RPG Day is 700 items, because we do 700 kits every year. That doesn't mean 700 stores sign up, but we do 700 kits. It's kind of like the limit, the number that we've kind of found.
Some stores do more than one kit, right?
Correct. Many stores, 1, 2, 3, 4 kits. Yeah. You know, so that 700 kits, that means they have to do multiples of 700. So if it's obviously one per kit, 700 is the minimum. If it's two per kit, it's 1,400. So they come and they'll do their 700. They're like, well, it cost me like 75 cents to make and plus shipping. So they're, you know, spending like $1,000. You know, that's kind of a lot of money for a small role-playing company.
Yeah, I mean, $1,000, considering what's going on in any given company at the moment, that could make or break them, depending.
Sure.
Yeah. So I was just saying, you know, if you've got the because it's basically an advertising expense, basically.
Definitely, it's definitely a marketing experience where we hope that they're using it to promote whatever their core book or their line as a whole, or to get somebody interested. You know, obviously other role-playing games are run at game stores on Free RPG Day because people run D&D, of course, on Free RPG Day. There's nothing I can do about it, nothing I would do about it. But my thing is to always say to the stores, it would be really cool if you would just advocate the ones that are supporting the event. If this is an event around those. But, you know, obviously people come in and want to play D&D, which is fine.
Right. You know, actually, there is some D&D on our event, but there's a huge spread of other games. D&D
no, that's great, and that's the hope, is that people go, wow, I've heard of this DCC RPG so much, what should I do? And then Trollord, they're not promoting Castles and Crusades, they're doing their new Border Hounds, which, you know, is based off of a comic book, and, you know, it's new for them, but it's the same siege engine from Castles and Crusades, so, you know, again, you know, let's introduce people and just promote the hobby. That's all it ends up being. Let's promote the hobby. You know, and Geek and Sundry has International Tabletop Day, you know, which obviously focuses more on board and card games. They do say, you know, role-playing as well, but my hopes is that we'd see Free RPG Day as the role-playing event of the year.
Right. Well, I talking about getting exposure to other systems, anytime I run a game in an event like this or a con, even though I have a weekly D&D game, I purposely never run D&D because I want to expose people to other stuff that's out there. And I love D&D. You know, but
my DM does that. I mean, we have a monthly group, and he throws in Fate. He'll throw in CNC. He'll throw in DCC. Throw in D&D. Throw in Pathfinder. Like he throws in all these dynamics.
And just for the people that may not be aware, of course, DCC is Dungeon Crawl Classic.
Sorry.
So, no problem.
And that's a good spot for a break. We'll be back shortly as we continue to talk with Aldo Ghiozzi, the founder and organizer of Free RPG Day. Back in a moment. Hey, don't forget that on Saturday, June 17th, we're having a Free RPG Day event at Game Goblins. It's the Free RPG Day event at Game Goblins with Shane Plays, Saturday, June 17th from 10 a.m. till midnight. Going to be all kinds of games. There's going to be giveaways. There's going to be free RPG stuff, swag from the retailers' kits, just all kinds of really cool stuff. So come check it out. Go to Facebook and look for the Free RPG Day event with Game Goblins at Game Goblins with Shane Plays and check it out. Come on out and have a great time. And it's all free.
And now it's time to give a little love to one of our sponsors. Some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. Conveniently located at 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees, Game Goblins has expanded their store size, and there's plenty of room for exciting inventory and tables for play space. You'll like that space because Game Goblins has gaming events every day of the week. For all of your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. Game Goblins earns your business and keeps it. First-time customers, mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. Tell them Shane Plays sent you. Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
And we're back with Shane Plays, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. We're talking with Aldo Ghiozzi, the founder and organizer of the yearly Free RPG Day. And remember, this is not a live show, so don't call in or tweet during the radio broadcast. Anyway, back to Aldo.
So let's go through here real quick. I've got the Free RPG. People can go to freerpgday.com, and they can go there not only to see what cool stuff is going to be in the kit this year, but they can also find retailers that are participating.
Yes.
You know, and so, because I can think of around here, right off the top of my head, there's three sort of Little Rock, North Little Rock, Jacksonville area retailers. I could think two that always participate, one that normally doesn't. So it's not a given that your retailer will. So, you know, you need to kind of check it out. But let's go through the list here. This is a great mix of stuff this year. So you got Starfinder from Paizo. That's huge.
Well, it's definitely good. People have reiterated, and we have it on the website, that it's a bestiary. You know, it's not a quick start or an adventure. You know, this year, usually a lot of times you'll see, you know, the goblins, you know, last year, and then the year prior was something else. They mix it up, which is great. But again, Paizo's one of those every year.
Is Starfinder even out yet?
No, we saw it at our industry trade show in March. They were playing and showing it off, and then PaizoCon was last weekend. So I'm sure that there was a lot of Starfinder out there.
Well, here's
so
what's
they're supposed to launch at Gen Con.
You can get your hands on it Free RPG Day, get there early, and you can get a Starfinder product before it's out there. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's definitely. Paizo's always been a great supporter.
Yeah, you've got Dice from Q Workshop. Now this is cool. I kind of know from Twitter and YouTube. I kind of know Ben from Sirenscape. That's neat that you got Sirenscape in the mix.
Well, the key there is that they're finally putting together a program for retailers to make money off sound downloads, because retailers were like, why should I give away this sound download that has nothing to do with making me money? And that was true. So I told Sirenscape, I said, if you guys are going to do this, you got to do something that's related to retailers trying to make money, or they're not going to advocate you. And then RuneQuest, RuneQuest is the remake of the old one with the new Chaosium.
Chaosium. So I just want to give another shout out. I think Ben you said Sirenscape. I guess that's how you. I always think.
Oh, maybe I might be wrong. Yeah. I might be wrong too.
Right.
Yeah.
But they, they got they got the Dice Stormers on YouTube, where they're a bunch of fun Australians playing role-playing games on YouTube. So there's some cool guys. Of course, you got Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game from Goodman Games.
Yep.
You've got Conan RPG Quickstart from Odysseus. I actually talked with Chris Birch from Odysseus a few months back about the Star Trek Adventures playtest, and that 2D20 system is pretty interesting. So
I've just started playing. We just dabbled into Mutant Year Zero for our gaming group for one night, and I like that concept. But yeah, I mean, just just to give full disclosure, Modiphius is a client as well. We handle their distribution. Yeah. So,
well, I like Chris over. Now I've only talked with Chris, but I liked Chris a heck of a lot. So.
No, Chris is a good guy, definitely a good guy. And that Star Trek stuff, it's supposed to be, being sold at Gen Con, and Conan, is just coming out as well. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I've actually been doing the play test for Star Trek Adventures, and
excellent.
It's it's an interesting system. So of course we have a personal favorite here for me. You've got Numenera from Monty Cook Games.
They're a first timer. Yeah, they're a first timer. Yeah, this is the first time they've participated. Yeah.
And then here's the item that I'll dogpile and tackle people for, and that's the Chesic commemorative dice. Yeah. Oh, you got Torg in here. I didn't realize you had Torg in here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Ulysses Spiel, the Dark Eye people, are now doing Torg. But we've got Lamentation. Oh, Lamentations is on the site too.
I hear nothing but amazing things about this Lamentation.
You know what? Again, full disclosure, they've been a client for a long time, but their stuff is not for the light heart. I mean, it can be definitely offensive. Yeah, not for the faint of heart. And this book that they're giving away, definitely mature, definitely has 18+. And then Pelgrane Press, again, another client. Monty Cook isn't a client, Ulysses Spiel isn't a client, Chaosium is not a client, but I wanted to shout out Pelgrane Press is a client. 13th Age is written by, a lot of, D&D, Rob Heinsoe, and other D&D related people. Time Watch is their newer role-playing game.
I actually just saw a headline for an article that said 13th Age is a love letter to D&D. So,
that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. But they've got a dual product. And then down the list, of course, Paizo's, Pathfinder Adventure card game pack. Another Goblin, which is awesome. People love the Goblins for the card game. Trollord, our dear friends at Trollord, I mentioned already, they're doing Border Hounds.
Right.
Yeah. So
it still uses the Siege engine, right?
Correct.
Based on a comic book concept. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you've got weird miniatures.
Yeah, Through the Breach is their, role-playing version of their, miniatures game. And then Angry Hamster, they're a new one. Familiars of Terra, they're a small press game company. I think this is their first outing, with a role-playing product as a whole. I actually hadn't researched enough. And then Blue Panther with the Dice Cup, they always do some type of accessory. Gaming paper is just that. It's just isometric paper. It's kind of a good sample to promote their stuff. We do a giveaway every year. Last couple of years, it was pencils.
Tokens, yeah.
Yeah. So Blue Panther.
So wait. So was that you that did the implement of scribing +1 or whatever? Was that, okay. I've got
I actually have to give credit to a retailer named Pat Fuge from Wisconsin. Yeah. He was the one who said I should name it something, and he said some wild thing, and then it just clicked. And anyway, that was my thing. And then the T-shirts, always from Off-World Design, always designed by them. And then Third Eye Games, Ninja Crusade, they're a smaller company as well, doing their first outing with us as well.
Well, it looks fun. I mean, it's always a good mix of stuff.
Cool.
People remember that you can go to freerpgday.com and
Excellent.
You can see the what's in the kit, and also find a retailer, find a friendly local game store that is participating. You could drop in, maybe get an item, check out, maybe play a game. Check out.
Please play. Please play. Participate with your store. Help them out. Get people excited. Make the store some money.
And one thing I want to stress is that every store does it a little bit different. Some stores may allow you to take one item. Some may allow you to take 3. Some may reserve certain items for people who participate in events. So, it just depends on your friendly local game store. So, and if you definitely, if you see something in the kit that you absolutely have your heart set on, supplies are limited, so get there early. I definitely had an experience or two where I was like, I really want whatever, and I didn't get there in time, and somebody else got it, and that's how it works. The supplies are limited. So
and we have stores. Yeah, we have stores that will put things aside for people who say, "Look, I want to GM and run this." And the stores are allowed to pull those to the side for GMs and say, look, you want to run DCC? I'll pull one to the side so you have it. You can come early and get it and prep. Like, we even allow that. That's part of, it's the smart thing to do. Let the guy, the GM preps, so.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, every store is going to be a little bit different. Remember, it's Saturday, June 17th.
Yep.
The show where this interview will air will be on Saturday, June 10th. So if you're listening on Saturday, June 10th in the Little Rock area at 1 o'clock, you've got a week. Next week, go check out your friendly local game store. I'll be at Game Goblins all day. In fact, I'll be broadcasting my show live remote from Game Goblins on June 17th, and I'm going to have nothing but RPG news and trivia to celebrate
excellent
Free RPG Day. But if you're listening by podcast, hopefully you're hearing this before June 17th. So go find your friendly local game store and check it out. So, Aldo, anything else that you wanted to?
No, good stuff. Thanks for taking the time to do it, and hopefully, more and more people support role-playing games and keep them going.
Yeah, well, I really hope I get to meet you in person sometime. I can tell you're enthusiastic about the hobby. That's one of the best things that I love about doing my show is just meeting all these people. My show is what cons, a lot of people meet people at cons. I actually don't make a lot of cons. I'm trying to make more, but this is how I get to meet my fellow and kind of build relationships.
Well, I will be at Gen Con, so I will be there wandering around. Find me at the Troll Lord booth because I hang out with Steve all the time.
One of these days, I'm just going to show up and jump in the truck with Steve and go to one of these conventions. So
it'll be awesome.
It's kind of like, Steve, you probably didn't know, but I'm going with you. So,
awesome. Thanks for all of this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, and thanks for your time. Now, I always do this. I have to do it to you. I apologize because you've been such a nice guy. But I have the bad joke of the week.
Okay.
So we have to do the bad joke of the week. Are you ready?
Okay.
You sound a little nervous. Okay.
I'm like, am I supposed to tell a bad joke?
No, it's me. Yeah,
okay,
you're just my victim. You're just my victim.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you hear about the two thieves that stole a calendar?
No.
They each got 6 months.
Oh.
That is the correct response, sir. That is the correct response.
I actually think I can beat you on that one. So I'm going to tell a bad joke.
You got
what did the ocean say to the shore? Nothing. It just waved. Nothing.
Nothing. It just waved. Yeah,
that's my bad one. I do that for little kids. I keep that. So anyway.
Okay, you want to hear my favorite bad joke of all time?
Go ahead.
All right. Man walks into a bar.
Yeah.
Says, "Ouch."
Actually, I hear that as three men walk into a bar. The fourth one ducks.
Yeah.
So that's the variation that I've heard. Anyway.
All right.
That's good stuff. Well, good stuff. So, thanks again for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. And folks, we've been talking with Aldo Ghiozzi of Impressions, which is a RPG and tabletop game related company. You'll hear it was described earlier in the show, and he's also the guy who makes Free RPG Day happen, along with all the companies and stuff that participate in the retailers. So thanks so much, Aldo. Have a great day, and I hope Free RPG Day goes great this year.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you, Shane.
And the voice of Wallace himself, Peter Sallis. The Evening Post caught up with him.
How does it feel being part of Wallace and Gromit?
Well, it is great, and in fact, it's something that when you're at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, you don't think you're going to do something like this when you get out.
Filming Wallace and Gromit, what was your favourite moment?
Oh, my favourite moment was when in the Wrong Trousers, it is, when they're chasing the penguin, the wicked penguin, through the house, through Wallace's house, and Gromit is lying on the front of the train, laying the track as the train goes along. When I saw this completed film, while we were dubbing it and doing some voices and that sort of thing, I said to Nick, and he said, what is it? I said, this isn't going to work, Nick. You can't do this. He said, trust me, Peter. And when it came to the preview at the Odeon Leicester Square, when it got to this bit, the whole audience erupted. They were all standing on their feet, waving their programs and everything. And Nick leaned over. We were both sitting in the same aisle, and he leaned over and waved at me, and I waved back. Trust me, Peter.
What's your favourite line as Wallace from the films?
Oh, I don't know. It's got to be, what, no cheese, Gromit, hasn't it? I mean, I'm always being asked to say it. So I guess it's what, no cheese, Gromit? Yes, I think so.
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.